Hey everybody, it's Theresa. So I'm going to redo this canvas that I did the other day. I liked it, I like the colors, but I don't think there's enough negative space. So I've decided to go over it. This is a test canvas that I'm using. It's 18 by 24 and it has some flaws in it where globs of paint were stuck in it. So I'm just using it as a large test canvas. I typically use the smaller ones, but at a certain point I like to go do a test canvas of the size that I really want to end up with, because I think it gives me a better result overall. When you start doing stretches on the smaller canvases, sometimes there's just not enough canvas to get that stretch distance that you want in order to thin the paints out. So I do like trying testing on on one of the larger canvases. Like I said, this is an 18 by 24. So I'm going to go with the same colors, which are the copper, the navy, gold, white, and aqua, with bronze. And then I have mixed, I've got my standard navy, which is phthalo blue with a little bit of black mixed in. And then I've mixed another blue. It's more of kind of a denim, which is one of my favorites. It is the navy blue that I made plus the Deco Art Aqua, which has tons of shimmer in it. It's heavy metallic. I've watered down the paints more than previously. Still trying to find the correct ratio for this. When you're pouring these petals, they need to be thinner than the other pouring that I do, which would be like a ring pour or something like that. But the petals need to be able to run. They need to be very thin. So I've actually added more water than I probably have ever added in any of these cups. They could be almost a third water by now. You have to be very careful when you're doing that though, because the binders will break. So you have to make sure that you have enough of the pouring medium in there to keep the paint together with the water. I'm just going to add a little bit more water to that metallic blue. Really trying to get everything to the same consistency. They've been sitting a little bit. I let them sit overnight. So I did have a little bit of paint clogged up at the top. This needs a little water. So I took all the caps of the paint off, threw that away, and remixed everything, adding water just wherever I need it. Hey Jill, hey Sandy. Alrighty. So again, going with the white. I thinned this out too, but I might need to thin it some more. It's very bubbly since I just added water. So I will have to torch it a lot more than I normally do. I'm going to be laying down a heavier layer of white than I would normally do as well. Let's see if that helps move things around. Just going to take it to the edge, and then I will make sure to cover all sides afterwards. I'm just trying to get a good layer, especially because I'm sitting right here in the sun. This is not the best place to do this, but it's what I have available. Okay. Just running my hands around the sides because I just painted this yesterday. Trying to be real careful not to dig into the paint below, because I don't want it to take up any of yesterday's work that's still damp up underneath the surface. Okay. Alright, let me go get some paper towels real quick. Okay, so let's do, I definitely want to get this navy down. There's one of my major colors that I want. And I noticed that the petals with the blue and the gold really looked very good. They seem to stretch out really nice. I'm also going to do the same with bronze. Make sure you do not build your petals the same color combinations. Make sure to use different stacking. So maybe in one petal you have blue, gold, bronze, and white, and the other petal you have blue, white, bronze, and gold. It just, you know, it just looks a little bit better if you have different colors in there. Just kind of catches your eye. This is the deep navy. I did forget to torch, so I'm going to torch real quick. Get some of these bubbles out of there. Just running parallel to the paint, not pointing the flame down in the paint at all. Turn off the flame. Hold on to the torch the entire time that you're turning that flame off. Do not set it down with the flame still going away, even though it feels like the knob is turned off. Just don't do that. Okay, just going to continue dropping paint into these petals, making sure that they are different. Okay. Adding white. I'm going to do a little white over this one. I'm going to do some gold over the center. Big dash of gold. Now I don't have any turquoise anywhere except for this one corner, so I think I'll go with the opposite here. And then maybe just a small puddle by itself. Alright, I want to continue to keep a good layer of white in between all of these little puddles. Just go ahead and just make a little river in between them so that when you stretch them, they stay separated. The idea is that by doing this, keeping the color puddles wet, it will help them slide around the canvas, especially as this is sitting in the sun here. The paint, you know, wet paint helps wet paint move. So if we go ahead and let these sit for just a minute, it will help some of the colors change position. For example, the white that is on the very top here is actually sinking down below, and the copper is now coming up over it. The same thing is happening with the blue and the gold. The gold is actually, even though it is on top of the blue, it's stretching over the entire blue. So it's almost like it's racing to meet the very edge of the blue and stretching with it. Okay, so just going to tap some of these areas that look dry because they've been sitting in this warm sun, just to help them along. Alrighty. Let's see. Go ahead and move all these out of the way. Put some more white down. Yep. Put some white over the middle. How about some teal over the middle? Let's see, we don't have any gold down here. About a tiny puddle of gold here. And one in this blue. We have nothing up here in this space, so we'll just do a puddle of gold there. And I think we're about done. We're going to start stretching. Okay. Alright, so again, just filling in some of these spots. It might be hard to see on the camera, but the sun, where the spots of the white paint are thinner, the sun is actually drying those. So I'm going to go ahead and just pat those around the canvas. I wouldn't normally have this kind of trouble. It's just the fact that it's sitting in the sun. All right, let's go for a big stretch here. Let's see. Stuck to the cups from yesterday. Okay, so I can already tell that this is a little bit too dry here. Let me get a little bit more white.
Yeah, you want to talk to Uncle Doodle? Okay, hold on, let's get him, okay? Let's get Uncle Doodle. Yeah, Andrew. Come on, here. He's coming, Jack.
Okay, it's still going to separate these puddles.
Come here and talk to you for a second, okay? He's working out, Jack. He's hiding. Jack. See Jack, bud. Doodle. Hi.
All right, so okay. I'm going to dump some of this off. And then, let's see if I can get this off the cup. That's definitely a rookie mistake, was to leave those cups and not move them before I started videotaping. I really like what's happening right here. This centerpiece is starting to droop, so I'm going to go ahead and run my fingers through this to get rid of some of the mountain look. I really don't like long jagged pieces. I don't think it looks as appealing. So just keep stretching this across. Okay, now I'm going to try to turn this around. Okay, so just going to continue stretching this center out. See what happens. Didn't want to lose all that blue in the corner, but I feel like I've got to stretch out this center portion. And then see if I can drag it back a little bit. Be careful of your angles. If you get too drastic of an angle, then you end up with a lot of angry looking zigzags. That's really what I've kind of ended up with here. So I'm going to take the stick and see if I can drag along, just to kind of give it some wispy motion. Try to get rid of some of the angles. Okay. I like this, but it's not going anywhere here, so I'm going to just kind of run this around the corner a little bit. try to run one ribbon straight across there. Same thing with this. It's pretty with the copper and everything, but it was almost looking phallic, and I really don't want that in my paintings. I think I'm going to go with adding a little bit more white to the center here. This tipped bottle, all I have to do is squeeze, continue to squeeze as it's in the canvas, and it will help open up some of these areas. Like right through here. I just feel like there's too much going on. I can add more white to them and break them up a little bit. Same thing here. I really like this, but I feel like that there's too much turquoise here. So I'm just going to squeeze that so it continues right off. And I like that better. And here we have a little bit of a white island happening. This almost looks to be very beachy. So I'm going to continue the white line right through that side. Let that fill in. It's made a little gap or a river over here. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and check the sides. I know there's a couple of spots I need to fix. And you just pat your finger into the corresponding color that's on the counter, and then fill those spots in. If it's a white spot, you can use your tipped bottle like I have and just squeeze in those spots, and it will cover up the canvas for you. That way you don't have to worry about trying to locate drips on the counter that match. And this side didn't get covered. Okay. Alrighty. Need to move this back just a hair because I'm dripping on the floor. And of course, I've got drips in my neighboring paintings. That's irritating. Alrighty, so I think this one's done. We'll see how it dries, and then I'll give you guys an update on it. If it dries well, I might sell it. Just depends on if I can get rid of any of the mistakes that were underneath it. Alright, thanks for watching.